Good morning, you're here with Zaid Kahoot in the morning after the night that was Arthur Beterbiev and Bivol, together with Fraser Clark and Fabio Wardley. Now, I only made two predictions with reference to this show, and it was regarding those two fights. And it was for Arthur Beterbiev to win, and it was initially for Fraser Clark to win or win a close one on points. But then hours before the fight, on the same day, I put up a Facebook post and said that given the fact that Fabio is improving at an alarming rate, and given his attitude, I'd seen some of his interviews since the last fight, I felt that he was going to actually win it. So I changed it on the last day. But not for a minute did I think that he'd win in such emphatic fashion. You see, when he talks about what he's going to do and how he believes in himself, it's a little different to how Fraser did. And that translated into the fight. When the fight started, Fraser Clark was boxing like, well, let's see if we can build this up and have a similar type of fight to what we had before. He started in the same manner, but clearly Fabio started completely different. He looked a lot more composed, he looked a lot more calculated, and he was trying to set things up. And it worked for him. He caught him with a massive shot, didn't let him off the hook, and the referee could have jumped in before this fatal punch landed, because Fraser Clark was falling over the ropes, unable to control himself and stand in a position to defend himself, and he was quite vulnerable on the ropes when the last punch that caved in the left side of his face. I don't know if you saw it back on the video, but after that punch landed, there was an indent on the side of his face, and then when they showed his face, his jaw was locked to the side, and he was very badly hurt. Now, going back to the main event, Arthur Beterbiev and Bivol, I said that I love watching scientific boxers. You know, I always tend to back them in these types of showdowns, normally the bull versus matador type things. But this, what I said, was a bull matador versus a matador. Arthur Beterbiev being an intelligent, come forward, aggressive fighter who doesn't give you time to breathe. And for that reason, I picked Arthur Beterbiev to win by late stoppage or a split on decision on points. Now, what we saw though, however, was absolutely amazing skills from Bivol. He had a high guard, he was using his footwork well, he was using his jab a lot better earlier in the fight, and he was, certainly in the first 3 rounds, he bossed the fight and kept Beterbiev at range. But then when Beterbiev started using his jab more and using quicker feet, he got closer. But he was landing most of his punches on the gloves. So Bivol was either pulling back and countering, slipping and countering, smothering Beterbiev's work, blocking Beterbiev's work. And, he, throughout the whole fight, I would say landed the cleaner and more eye-catching punches, and did more in terms of quality defensive skills, showed more in terms of quality defensive skills. So a lot of Bivol supporters would quite reasonably and understandably expect him to get the decision. The way I see it, however, is although Bivol did all those things, landed the cleaner punches, okay, did the better defensive work in terms of more skills on display, it really does depend how the judges score it, and it's a subjective thing. And what the judges did were, the judges clearly scored for Arthur Beterbiev's aggression. He threw over twice as many punches as what Bivol did, and he landed roughly the same. And then what happens is you got to equate who won what round. Well, we gave the first 3 rounds to Bivol, the next 3 rounds to Arthur. We had the 7th one a draw, the 8th one to Bivol, and then I can't remember the 9th, but the 10th, 11th, 12th we had for Arthur as well. I had for Arthur as well. So I had Arthur winning by 1 or 2 rounds, purely because of his aggression. You know, if you looked at that fight, who was the hunter and who was the one being hunted? Who was the one showing the aggression and who actually hurt? You know, neither of them actually hurt each other. And at the end of the fight, I think both were a little bit disappointed. I think Arthur was more disappointed than Bivol, because he said, I didn't land one punch. He didn't land one clean punch, whereby he would have hoped to have stopped Bivol. And that's a testament to Bivol's skills. So yeah, very close fight. I think the right person won. The right person won. If you throw twice as many punches, catching many, and they said landed an equal amount. They're not counting the punches that landed on the arms and gloves of Bivol, but the punches on the arms of gloves of Bivol, by his own admission, he said, look, they've caused these injuries. So they were still effective punches. So for that reason, I count a lot of those punches, even though they were on the gloves, because he was dominating, physically dominating the other person, physically dominating and exerting his dominance on him, and chasing him around the ring and cutting off the ring. And for that reason, I think visually and morally and ethically, he was the winner in a close fight. Some of them judges had it far wider, which is crazy. So that's just my view. Thank you for listening. Zaid Coat in Coat's Corner. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum.